Welcome back to another episode of our Midwest Garden Pro series. Today we'll be looking at lilac, a classic spring bloomer. While they have long been beloved for their fragrance, size, form, and disease can present challenges to successfully using them in the landscape. Fortunately, some newer introductions help to address some of these problems. All lilacs, or syringa, will benefit from 6 or more hours of sun a day and well-drained soil. They are also deer-tolerant and pollinator-friendly. First, we'll look at the classics: Syringa vulgaris, common purple lilac, and Syringa vulgaris variety alba, common white lilac. These species have excellent fragrance, but they can get big, 12 to 15 feet tall and almost as wide, often making them too large for smaller gardens. Older plants get a bit thin or rangy and may benefit from rejuvenation pruning, which we'll discuss a bit later. These varieties are the most susceptible to powdery mildew, which generally doesn't hurt the plant, but can be unsightly in the later half of the growing season. Two other well-known lilac are Syringa patula Miss Kim and Syringa myri palaban, also known as dwarf Korean lilac. These are often mentioned as being more compact than the street species, but they still get fairly large. Miss Kim can reach 6 to 8 feet tall with a similar width, while palaban is a bit shorter at 4 to 6 feet tall, but still about 6 to 8 feet wide. They both form full, dense plants and have good resistance to powdery mildew. These two varieties are typically the latest of the lilac to flower and have a slightly sweeter fragrance than the classic lilacs. Flower panicles are typically smaller than on the classic lilacs, but also more abundant. Now we'll look at some newer varieties on the market. Syringa virtual violet features a great oval form, making it perfect for a hedge or back of the border plant. Plants grow 6 to 8 feet tall and slightly narrower and remain mildew-free throughout the summer. Flower buds are a deep purple and open to fragrant double violet flowers. The violet in the name is not just for the flowers. New leaves are trimmed in violet and the stems remain violet until well into summer. Syringa Scentara Double Blue is a similar height to virtual violet at 6 to 8 feet tall, but its width is about the same as its height, producing a more rounded plant. Double flowers are lavender blue, similar to a common purple lilac, and similarly have great fragrance. Besides its slightly smaller stature over Syringa vulgaris, it also has much better resistance to mildew, again improving its season-long attractiveness. Lastly, we have Syringa Bloomerang Dark Purple, an improved version of the original Reblooming lilac. One of the common knocks against lilac is that they only bloom for a short window, and sometimes in northern climates, it is too cold during that window to really get out and enjoy them. Bloomerang Dark Purple solves that problem by adding another bloom cycle. Fragrant dark purple flowers bloom in spring, as they typically do, have a rest period for several weeks in late spring and early summer, and then begin blooming again in midsummer through early fall. Timing of the initial bloom is similar to Miss Kim and palaban, and flowers are similar in that they are smaller in size than the tallest varieties, but more abundant. While still not a small plant, Bloomerang Dark Purple is also the most compact of the varieties discussed today, reaching a rounded 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. One important thing to note about syringa: flowers are set on old wood, so make sure to do any pruning within a couple of weeks after blooming. Even Bloomerang Dark Purple should follow a similar pruning cycle. Any pruning should be done immediately after the spring bloom, never in fall, winter, or early spring. Sometimes they need a light trim to remove the spent flower heads. If they need a heavier prune, you should still get a summer rebloom. It will just be delayed by a few weeks over an untrimmed plant. Sometimes the common varieties may benefit from rejuvenation pruning by removing branches all the way to the ground after flowering. Prune a third of the canes each year for 3 years, starting with the oldest first. Look for those that are scaly, cracked, or discolored. We hope this video was a good refresher on some of the old standard lilacs and perhaps introduced you to a few new and improved varieties. We encourage customers to visit our display gardens, where you can find all of the syringa discussed in this video. Happy planting!